Hello class, how are you all? We are going to start chapter 6 of our civics today, which is the judiciary. In this chapter you will study about judiciary, a network of courts, single unified integrated judicial system, powers and functions of Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate courts, district courts, criminal courts, Lok Adalat, public interest litigation, PIL, independence of judiciary. Let's first have a start with judiciary, a network of courts. People violating laws should be punished to ensure proper implementation of laws. It is also important that the disputes between people are resolved peacefully. Judiciary is needed to perform the above functions. It is the third organ of the political system. If any conflict or dispute arises between the government and citizens or between the individuals living in a society, then we need a body known as judiciary which can resolve the issues. It not only resolves the disputes but is also the final interpreter of the constitution. The judiciary works through a network of courts. Whenever a dispute arises regarding property, violation of our rights, abuse of powers, violence, exploitation, or any other issue related to our day-to-day life, the matter can be taken to a court of law to seek justice. The court gives justice to a aggrieved party. Therefore, a system of courts under an independent judiciary is a key feature of our democracy. It administers justice and settles disputes in accordance with the laws of the Constitution. India has a uniform judiciary. The Supreme Court is situated at the top of the judicial system. Next to the Supreme Court, there are high courts in the states, followed by district courts. The Supreme Court is the highest court of justice. In a federal government, it is essential to have judiciary which not only resolves disputes but is also the final interpreter of the constitution. Independence of judiciary. Justice is possible only if the judiciary is independent, impartial and unbiased. Such a type of judiciary not only protects the right of the citizen but also resolves various disputes arising out of civil cases, criminal cases and constitutional matters without any pressure from the executive or the legislature. Our constitution has various provisions which make our judiciary independent and keeps it free from the influence of the legislature and executive to stop their interference in the work of the judiciary. There are special provisions that ensures the independence of judiciary in India. The judges are appointed on the basis of their qualification. The judges cannot be easily removed easily. There is a special procedure to remove them called impeachment. The judges are paid adequate salary. Their salary and allowances cannot be reduced during their tenure. The tenure of the judges is fixed. Types of cases. There are mainly two types of cases: civil cases, criminal cases. Civil cases are related to disputes over property, marriage, money, rent matters, purchase of goods, etc. It also includes the infringement or violation of rights of individuals. There are civil laws to settle and decide civil cases. Criminal cases include offences like robberies, murders, cheating, harassing of women, beating, violence, kidnapping, etc. Tax evasion is also a criminal offence. Usually, the criminal cases begin with the lodging of an FIR since it is the first information about the offences. Hence, it is named as First Information Report (FIR). After investigation by the police, the case is filed in the court. In case the crime is proved, the accused can be sent to jail or fined and jailed both. Do you know, an FIR means First Information Report lodged with the police about a criminal offence. According to law, whenever a person informs the police about an offence, it is compulsory for the police to register an FIR and not necessarily the victim of the crime. This picture is depicting a court scene. Single unified integrated judicial system. The unique feature of our federal democracy setup is single unified and integrated judicial system for the whole country. It has got power to supervise and control the working of entire judicial system in India. It ensures justice to all. The Supreme Court at the apex is the highest judicial authority, followed by the High Court in the states and then the subordinate courts in every district. The lowest court in the judicial hierarchical order is the Court of Magistrate. The lower courts are controlled and supervised by the high courts. A judgment given by the lowest court can be challenged in higher courts. Similarly, an individual can go to the Supreme Court of India to appeal against the judgment of a High Court. The Constitution of India says that the law declared by the Supreme Court shall be binding on all courts within the territory of India. Supreme Court of India. The Supreme Court of India was established on January 26, 1950, but it started working in the new building from 1958. Its headquarters is at New Delhi. It hears both civil and criminal cases. It also deals with the cases pertaining to the interpretation of the Constitution of India. This is the image of our Supreme Court. Organization, composition. The President of India appoints the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and 25 other judges by the consultation with the Chief Justice. While appointing the Chief Justice, the President consults other judges as he/she deems proper. Normally, the senior-most judge of the Supreme Court is appointed as the Chief Justice. Do you know? The highest court of India during the British period was known as the Federal Court of India, 1937 to 49. It was located in the Parliament House. Tenure and removal from office. The Chief Justice and other judges of the Supreme Court remain in office till they attain the age of 65 years. They cannot be removed from the office under normal substances. They can be removed by the President by the process of impeachment, which is very complex. Look at this flowchart. This flowchart is showing the Indian judicial system. Supreme Court of India, High Courts, subordinate courts or lower courts in districts. And lower courts are divided between civil courts, district judge, criminal courts, session judge, additional session judge, assistant session judge, chief judicial magistrate, chief metropolitan magistrate, court of magistrate of second class, court of magistrate of second class, social judicial magistrate, executive magistrate, court of subordinate, civil judge first class, court of sub-judges second class, salary and allowances. The Chief Justice of India receives a salary of rupees 1 lakh per month, whereas the judges get rupees 90,000 per month. They are also provided many other facilities like official residence, travel allowances, leave and pension retirement. Powers and functions of Supreme Court. As the highest court of the country, the Supreme Court performs many important functions and exercises different types of jurisdiction, such as original, appellate, advisory, and supervisory jurisdiction. The Supreme Court also acts as a court of record. A court exercises original jurisdiction in cases which can be heard for the first time in that court only. This jurisdiction appeals to the court where the case originates. Appellate jurisdiction. When a court hears an appeal against a case which has already been tried by a lower court, it is called appellate jurisdiction of the court. Advisory jurisdiction. When a court gives advice on matters relating to the Constitution, it is known as advisory jurisdiction. Supervisory jurisdiction. When it supervises the functioning of the lower court, it is called supervisory jurisdiction. Court of record. A court acts as a court of record when it maintains records of the court proceedings and its decision for the benefit of the lower courts who refer to it in similar cases. Protector of fundamental rights. As a protector of fundamental rights, the Supreme Court may declare a law passed by the legislature null and void if it encroaches upon the fundamental rights of the people. Therefore, our fundamental rights are secure in the hands of the Supreme Court. Guardian of our Constitution. The Supreme Court is the guardian of our Constitution, so the court does not allow either the executive or the legislature to violate any provision of the Constitution. The Supreme Court has the authority to interpret the Constitution. Do you know? Special majority means an absolute majority of total membership and two-thirds majority of the members present and voting in each house. Power of judicial review. Judicial review is the power of the Supreme Court to review the laws enacted by the Parliament or the state legislature to ascertain whether they are in conformity with the provisions of the Constitution or not. Any law declared unconstitutional immediately ceases to remain in force. In this way, the court protects the rights of the people and guards the Constitution. Thus, judicial review is an important means of protecting and enforcing the rights. The role of the Supreme Court, that is apex, quite wide and comprehensive. It has always protected the Constitution. It observes the governmental activities and stops them and wherever necessary. It also interferes in the working of other courts to ensure justice through fair trials. The decisions of the Supreme Court are binding on all courts of India. High Court. High Court is the highest court of appeal at the state level. Generally, every state has a high court, but 2 or more states may have one high court. All over India, there are 18 high courts. The high court be if for one state of or more than one state functions under the supervision, guidance and control of the Supreme Court of India. It is a part of integrated judicial system. This picture is the picture of Bombay High Court. Composition. The High Court consists of a Chief Justice and other judges according to the size and population of the state. The Chief Justice of a High Court is appointed by the Supreme Court and the Governor of the concerned state. Similarly, the other judges are also appointed by the President on the advice of the Chief Justice of India, Governor of the state and the Chief Justice of the High Court of the concerned state. Qualification. Any citizen of India who has been an advocate in one or more high courts for at least 10 years or is holder of a judicial office in subordinate court for a period of 10 years is eligible for appointment as judge in a high court. Distinguished jurists are not eligible for appointment as a judge of the high courts. Emolument. The Chief Justice of India draws a monthly salary of rupees 90,000 and other judges rupees 80,000. They are also entitled to certain privileges like free residence, official car and other allowances. Tenure. A High Court judge holds his office till the age of 62 years. He or she can be removed by the President through the process of impeachment. Powers and functions of High Court. The High Court also exercises different kinds of jurisdiction as the Supreme Court. These include original, appellate and supervisory jurisdictions. The original jurisdiction includes cases involving the protection of fundamental rights, disputes related to state election and cases where interpretation of the Constitution is needed. If a party to a dispute is not satisfied by the judgment of a lower court, it can appeal to the High Court under appellate jurisdiction. The High Court hears appeals in 3 types of cases: civil, criminal and revenue. If a subordinate court sentences a convicted person to death, an appeal can be made to the High Court. As part of the supervisory jurisdiction, it supervises the functioning of all the courts below it. Like the Supreme Court, High Courts are also a court of record and maintain a record of its decision for the subordinate court to refer to whenever needed in similar cases. Subordinate courts. Below the High Court, there are several lower courts known in general as subordinate courts. These courts are, as mentioned earlier, supervised by the High Courts, revenue courts, Nyaya Panchayats and Lok Adalats. District courts. The district courts is the highest civil court in a district. The judges of their courts are appointed by the governor in consultation with the High Court. All the civil matters pertaining to property, contracts, agreements, landlord-tenant dispute which do not originate in the High Court are heard in the district courts. Below the district courts, there may be one or more courts of sub-judges. Separate family courts are also there. They hear the cases of family disputes like divorce, custody of children, etc. Below them are the courts of munsifs. The highest district court for dealing with the criminal cases is the Court of Session Judges. Criminal courts. For criminal cases in a district, the highest court is the Court of the Session Judges. Below this court, there are courts of magistrate of first, second and third class. In big cities like Delhi, Kolkata, first class magistrates are called metropolitan magistrates. Do you know there are 29 states in India, but only 21 high courts? There is a common high court at Chandigarh for the state of Punjab and Haryana. It also covers the union territory of Chandigarh. Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Tripura, Mizoram and Arunachal, the 7 northeastern states of India, popularly known as Seven Sisters, have a common high court at Guwahati. The National Capital Territory of Delhi is the only union territory which has its own high court. Revenue courts. The Board of Revenue is the highest revenue court in the district. It deals with the cases of land revenue. Courts of Commissioner, Collector, Tehsildar and Assistant Tehsildar work under the Board of Revenue, which hears the final appeals against the lower revenue courts. Lok Adalats. In our country, the process of imparting justice is often a lengthy and expensive affair. Justice delayed is justice denied. It is becoming out of the reach of the common man. Besides, thousands of cases are lying pending in the various courts. To simplify the legal procedures, reduce the cost of litigation, and to provide speedy justice, Lok Adalats have been set up. In 1985, the first Lok Adalat was held in Delhi. It was surprising that about 150 cases were settled on the same day. The Lok Adalat is normally presided over by a retired judge. The disputing parties plead their case themselves. No advocate or pleader is allowed to argue the case. Even witnesses are not examined. Efforts are made to settle disputes through compromise, mutual agreement, and on-the-spot decisions. Do you know? Justice P.N. Bhagwati, a former Chief Justice of India, advocated the idea of Lok Adalat. The idea is based on the ancient Gram Panchayat where the judges were known as Panch Parmeshwar. Mahatma Gandhi had also strongly pleaded the revival of Gram Panchayat to settle disputes without wasting time and money. The idea of Lok Adalat is very useful and highly commendable. That is why Lok Adalats are called People's Court for speedy and inexpensive justice. Public interest litigation PIL. Most of the people of India are very poor and illiterate. They cannot even think of going to the courts and seek justice. So the concept of public interest litigation was devised by the Supreme Court of India. Any person from the public, whether affected or not, may write an ordinary letter or even a postcard drawing the attention of the High Court or the Supreme Court towards any matter of serious public importance. For example, one may write about the inadequate and unsafe transport system or supply of unhygienic drinking water, or about the exploitation of children and women is a particular establishment. If that court is convinced that the matter is of public interest, it will take up and decide the case. It is a novel idea and helps the poor, the illiterate and the ignorant Indians. Public interest litigation. New Delhi, Tuesday, November 20, 2007. Social activist files PIL to save Yamuna River, led opposing the central government's ambitious project of constructing the Commonwealth Games village on the bank of Yamuna River. A public interest litigation has been filed in the High Court against permanent construction on the riverbed. Social environment activist Rajinder Singh in his petition said that no permanent construction should be allowed on the riverbed as it will be very harmful for the environment. Independence of judiciary. It is essential that the judiciary should be independent. Only an independent judiciary can ensure that the rights of the citizen are protected. It checks executive pressure on the judiciary. Do you know? The power to pass a judgment in cases is known as jurisdiction. Summing up, judiciary is the third organ of the political system. If any conflict or dispute arises between the government and citizens or between individuals living in a society, then we need a body known as judiciary which can resolve the issues. The judiciary works through a network of courts. The Supreme Court is situated at the top of the judicial system. Justice is possible only if the judiciary is independent, impartial and unbiased. The Supreme Court of India was established on January 26, 1950. Thank you class. Let's meet in the next chapter.